Once upon a time, in a beautiful forest, there was a large elephant who lived peacefully among the other animals. The elephant was kind hearted, strong, and respected by everyone. However, he was also very clumsy and often caused destruction wherever he went, not out of malice, but simply because of his size and lack of awareness. One day, the elephant decided to take a stroll near a small pond in the forest. As he walked through the forest, his massive feet trampled over the little shrubs and plants, making a lot of noise. The animals of the forest looked on in fear as the mighty elephant passed by, causing havoc with each step. Among the small creatures living near the pond were a family of sparrows. These sparrows lived in a tree near the water and had their nests in the branches. As the elephant walked by, his large feet disturbed the tree, causing a few branches to shake. The sparrows were terrified that the tree might fall and their nests would be destroyed. The elder sparrow, who was the wisest of the family, saw the elephant's reckless behavior and realized that something had to be done. She called a meeting of all the sparrows. After much discussion, they decided that they would try to make the elephant understand how much damage he was causing. The next day, a group of sparrows flew to the elephant as he was once again walking near their tree. The elder sparrow, who was the leader of the group, flew up to the elephant and said in a gentle voice, "Great elephant, we understand that you are a mighty creature and that you are the king of the forest. But your huge steps are causing destruction to our homes. Your weight is shaking our tree, and we are afraid our nests will fall." The elephant, who had no idea that his actions were causing harm, looked down at the sparrows in surprise. He was very gentle by nature and didn't want to hurt anyone. He apologized for his clumsiness and said, "I never realized that I was causing you so much trouble. I am truly sorry. What can I do to make sure that I don't harm your homes again?" The elder sparrow, sensing the sincerity in the elephant's words, came up with a solution. "It's simple, great elephant. All you need to do is be more mindful of your steps and try to walk around our tree when you pass by. This way, we will be safe and you will not cause any harm." The elephant agreed to the sparrow's suggestion. From that day on, whenever he passed by the tree where the sparrows lived, he carefully took another path, avoiding their home. The sparrows, in turn, were able to live peacefully without the fear of their nests being destroyed. As time passed, the relationship between the elephant and the sparrows grew stronger. The sparrows often came to the elephant with news about the forest, and the elephant would listen to their stories. The two species, so different in size and strength, had learned the value of communication, empathy, and understanding. One day, a fierce storm hit the forest. The wind blew with great force and the rain poured down heavily. The sparrows' nests were at risk of being destroyed by the strong winds. In their time of need, they turned to their friend, the elephant. The elephant, who had grown fond of the sparrows, rushed to their tree and carefully placed his large body near the branches to shield them from the storm. His large frame blocked the harsh winds and kept the sparrows safe. After the storm had passed, the sparrows were deeply grateful to the elephant. They had always respected him for his kindness and strength, but now they saw him as a true friend. The elephant too had learned the value of compassion and friendship, and he was happy to have helped his tiny friends in their time of need. Moral of the story: true strength lies not just in physical power, but in empathy, communication, and understanding others. Even the smallest creatures can teach us valuable lessons. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like for more videos. Once upon a time, there was a jackal who lived in a forest. He was an ordinary, brown-colored jackal just like the others. However, he lived a hard life, struggling to find enough food and constantly avoiding the stronger animals in the jungle. One unfortunate day, while searching for food, the jackal found himself wandering into a village. As he roamed, he stumbled upon a group of men who were dyeing cloth a vibrant shade of blue. The jackal, curious and hungry, found a way to sneak into the dyeing area unnoticed. In his effort to explore further, he accidentally fell into a large barrel of blue dye. When he finally managed to climb out of the barrel, he was no longer the same brown jackal. He had become a striking blue jackal. At first, the jackal was startled by his new appearance. But as he stared at himself in the reflection of the water, a mischievous idea formed in his mind. I look so unique. I could use this to my advantage, he thought. The jackal then returned to the forest, but this time his appearance caught the attention of all the animals. They were amazed and confused by the sight of a bright blue jackal. They had never seen anything like it before. The jackal, now filled with pride, walked around the forest confidently, knowing he had become the center of attention. He approached the lion, the king of the jungle, and declared, I am no ordinary jackal. I am a divine being sent to rule over all the animals of the forest. From now on, you will all obey me. The lion, who had never seen anything like this before, was unsure what to make of the blue jackal. But the jackal's boldness made him hesitate. Finally, the lion, seeing no harm in following this new divine being, agreed to the jackal's claim. The other animals too were convinced by the jackal's appearance and his confident claims. The jackal was treated with great respect, and the animals of the forest followed his every command. The jackal, now acting as if he were a king, enjoyed his newfound power. But as days passed, the jackal grew more and more arrogant. He began ordering the animals to perform tasks for him, using his new status to enjoy luxury and comfort. He made the lion and the other animals work for him, and they followed without question, believing that the blue jackal was indeed a divine being. However, the jackal soon began to make mistakes. One day, while leading the animals, he started to howl as he always had before. But this time, his howl was not as strong as it used to be. The animals noticed this strange sound and were puzzled. They asked each other, why is the jackal howling like that? One day, while the jackal was resting in a peaceful area, he overheard the forest animals talking among themselves. They had begun to suspect that the jackal was not a divine being after all. Some of the animals believed that the blue jackal had tricked them, and they began to whisper to one another that they had been deceived. The jackal, overhearing their whispers, quickly realized that his deception was about to be exposed. He tried to defend himself, but it was too late. The animals had seen through his false claims. In his panic, the jackal decided to flee. He ran deep into the forest, trying to escape the animals who had once admired him. But as he was running, he lost his footing and fell into a ditch. When he got up, he found that he had lost his blue color and his original brown fur had returned. The animals saw him again, this time in his true form, and they laughed at his failed attempt at deception. The jackal, ashamed and humiliated, slunk away into the wilderness, never to be seen again. Moral of the story: deceit may bring temporary success, but the truth always comes to light in the end. Pride and false claims will ultimately lead to failure and disgrace. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like for more videos. Long ago, beside a large banyan tree near a quiet lake, lived a group of cranes. Among them was an old crane who was not very wise. Tired and slow, he decided to build his nest at the base of the banyan tree, rather than high up like the other cranes. Unknown to him, a dangerous snake lived in a burrow close to the roots of the tree. Every season, when the crane's eggs hatched, the snake would crawl up silently and feast on the helpless chicks. Again and again, the old crane would weep bitterly but didn't know how to save his children. One day, in despair, he approached a clever crab who lived nearby and said, "Oh wise crab, my heart is broken. Every time my chicks hatch, a cruel snake devours them. What can I do?" The crab, who wasn't very fond of cranes, thought for a while and gave a cunning suggestion. He said, "Scatter pieces of fresh fish from the mongoose's den all the way to the snake's burrow. The mongoose, who loves both fish and snakes, will follow the scent, find the snake, and kill it for you." Desperate for a solution, the foolish crane immediately set to work. He found pieces of fish and made a trail leading from the mongoose's hole straight to the snake's burrow. As planned, the hungry mongoose smelled the fish, followed the trail eagerly, and discovered the snake's burrow. A fierce battle broke out, but finally, the mongoose killed the snake. The old crane rejoiced. He danced with happiness. "Now my chicks will be safe forever," he thought. But the crane had not thought beyond his immediate problem. The mongoose, now full of excitement and hunger, noticed the nests of the cranes at the base of the tree. One by one, he attacked and killed the helpless cranes, including the old foolish one who had set the trail. Thus the foolish crane, by solving one problem without thinking of the bigger consequences, brought doom upon himself and his family. Moral of the story: acting in haste without considering the long-term consequences can lead to greater disasters. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like for more videos. It was a scorching hot summer day. The sun blazed in the sky and the earth below seemed to crack with heat. A clever little crow had been flying around for hours, searching for water. His throat was dry and he was feeling weak. "I must find water soon, or I won't survive this heat," the crow thought. Suddenly, from the sky he spotted something. A pitcher, a clay pot sitting near a house under a tree. Excited, the crow swooped down and looked inside. Yes, there was water at the bottom, but the water was too low. The crow tried to dip his beak, but he couldn't reach it. He tried to tilt the pot, but it was too heavy. He even pecked at it, but it wouldn't break. The crow was tired, but he didn't give up. Then the clever crow had an idea. He looked around and saw small pebbles on the ground. He picked one up with his beak and dropped it into the pitcher. Plop! Then another. Plop! And another. Plop, plop, plop. One by one, the crow kept dropping pebbles into the pitcher. Slowly, the water began to rise. The water reached the top, and the crow happily drank it. He felt refreshed, strong, and full of life again. With a satisfied caw, he flew off into the sky, proud of his clever thinking. For the moral of the story: where there's a will, there's a way. Even in tough situations, using your brain and staying calm can help you find a smart solution. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like for more videos.
Once upon a time, in a quiet green forest, lived 4 very unusual friends: a mouse, a crow, a deer, and a tortoise. They were different in size, speed, and shape, but they had one big thing in common: a bond of trust and kindness. Every evening, they met under a large banyan tree to talk, laugh, and share stories. One evening, the crow flew in with a worried face. "My friends," he said, "humans have entered the forest. They're setting traps and hunting animals. We must be careful." The others nodded. The deer, being fast, promised to stay alert. The mouse said he could help by chewing through nets. The tortoise? He smiled and said, "I may be slow, but I'll be there if you need me." One morning, the deer went out for a walk and snap! He stepped into a hunter's trap hidden under leaves. He struggled, kicked, and cried for help. The hunter wasn't far. He'd be back soon. Back under the banyan tree, the other friends were waiting. The crow suddenly felt worried and flew to look for the deer. And when he found him trapped, oh no, he immediately rushed back. Crow shouted, "Friends, our deer is caught. We have to help him, now!" The mouse ran as fast as he could. The tortoise slowly followed, determined to help. The crow led the way. When they reached the trapped deer, the mouse immediately got to work. Nibble, 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 he chewed through the net as fast as he could. And just in time, the deer was free. But then, something happened. The hunter arrived, and instead of the deer, he saw the tortoise, still slowly trying to escape. Hunter, grinning, "Ah, slow and easy catch." He picked up the tortoise and put him in a bag. The deer, crow, and mouse looked at each other. They couldn't leave their friend behind. So, they made a plan. The deer pretended to get stuck in another trap. He lay on the ground, still as a statue. The crow flew around, squawking loudly to attract the hunter's attention. Seeing the deer trapped again, the hunter dropped the tortoise's bag and ran toward the deer. Swoosh! The deer leapt up and ran. The crow cawed in victory, and the mouse quickly chewed open the bag to free the tortoise. Yee! And that's how the four friends saved each other using speed, wisdom, bravery, and most importantly, teamwork. Remember, true friendship means helping one another. Every strength counts, even if you're small or slow. And together, we can outsmart any problem. Geeks! If you loved this tale of clever creatures and loyal friends, give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to TodTales for more animal adventures and wise tales every week.
Once upon a time, in a quiet village in India, lived a kind and gentle Brahmin. One day, he performed a religious ceremony at a rich man's house. As a token of appreciation, the rich man gave him a special gift, a live goat. The Brahmin was very happy. He thought, "This goat will give me milk and help me during festivals. What a generous gift." So, he lifted the goat on his shoulders and started walking toward his village. But along the way, 3 clever cheats saw the Brahmin walking with the goat. They were greedy and thought, if we act smart, we can make him believe the goat is something else and he'll leave it. Then we can steal it. So, they came up with a plan. They would confuse the Brahmin by taking turns to trick him. As the Brahmin walked further, the first cheat came up and pretended to be shocked. "Good heavens!" he exclaimed. "Why are you carrying a dirty dog on your shoulders, holy sir?" The Brahmin was confused. "Dog? This is a goat, a pure and sacred animal." The man laughed and walked away. The Brahmin continued walking, but now he started doubting. Soon the second cheat appeared. He pointed and said, "Sir, that's a dead calf you're carrying. Why would a holy man carry such a filthy thing?" The Brahmin gasped, "What? No, this is a goat, a live goat." But now he began looking nervously at the goat on his shoulders. Why are people saying such strange things? Am I carrying something unholy? He kept walking, but now he was worried. Finally, the third cheat approached. He acted even more shocked. "Ayo, you're carrying a demon in disguise. I saw its eyes glow red. Throw it away or it will curse you." Now the Brahmin was terrified. 3 strangers had said the same thing. Could they all be wrong? He quickly threw the goat to the ground and ran away shouting, "Spare me, oh strange creature." As soon as the Brahmin disappeared, the 3 cheats burst out laughing. They picked up the goat and said, "What a fool! All it took was some clever talking and we got ourselves a feast tonight." They ran off into the forest to cook the poor goat. The Brahmin reached home, still shaken. He sat under a tree and thought, "Maybe I shouldn't have believed strangers. I knew it was a goat. I should have trusted my own eyes." He felt sad that he lost such a valuable gift, all because of doubt. Moral: don't believe everything strangers say. Always trust what you know to be true. Smart people think for themselves. They don't get fooled easily. If you like this story, don't forget to like this video. Tell us in the comments, what would you have done if you were the Brahmin? And don't forget to subscribe to TodTales for more fun, moral stories every week. In a quiet village nestled between green hills and golden fields lived a humble donkey named Dhruv. Dhruv wasn't the fastest, the flashiest, or the loudest animal in the village. He was calm, quiet, and hardworking. Every morning, before the sun even rose, Dhruv would wake up. He would help his old owner carry bundles of hay, jars of milk, or sacks of grain to the market. He never complained, never rushed, and never skipped his work, no matter how hot the sun was or how heavy the load. But the other animals didn't respect Dhruv. The horse, with his shiny coat and strong legs, would neigh, "Why work so hard, old friend? No one notices you anyway." The monkey, always jumping around, laughed. "You're so boring. You just walk and work all day. Life is for fun." The dog, quick and clever, smirked. "You'll never be famous like me. People love speed and tricks." Dhruv would just smile and say, "Maybe I'm not the fastest or the smartest, but I believe in doing my best." One day, an announcement shook the whole village. The king himself was organizing a grand race. All animals, big or small, could participate. The prize? A golden apple that symbolized honor, strength, and success. The animals were thrilled. The horse practiced running every morning. The monkey showed off flips and jumps. The dog ran through tunnels and over walls. And Dhruv? He continued his daily routine, calm, steady, with quiet determination. When someone asked, "Will you run too, Dhruv?" he smiled and said, "Yes, I will do my best, like I do every day." Finally, the day of the race arrived. The king stood on his golden chariot, surrounded by villagers. Drums rolled, trumpets blew, and the track was ready. All animals lined up: strong horses, fast dogs, clever monkeys, and right at the end, Dhruv, the donkey. "On your mark, get set, go!" The race began. The horse galloped like thunder. The monkey swung from trees to get ahead. The dog darted like lightning. And Dhruv, he walked, steady, calm, one step at a time. The crowd laughed. "Look at him, he'll never make it." But as the race went on, something unexpected happened. The horse, so focused on speed, slipped in a muddy patch and hurt his leg. The monkey, curious as always, got distracted by a bunch of bananas hanging nearby. The dog, excited by cheering, ran off track chasing butterflies. But Dhruv, he kept going, slowly. But he never stopped. With sweat on his brow, dust on his feet, and focus in his eyes, he walked the entire track and reached the finish line. First, the king stood up, eyes wide with admiration. He placed the golden apple around Dhruv's neck and said, "Today, we have all learned something very important. It's not always the fastest who wins. Sometimes the most patient, persistent, and hard-working soul crosses the line first." The animals looked at Dhruv with newfound respect, and from that day on, no one laughed at the diligent donkey again. Moral: hard work, patience, and consistency are more powerful than speed and show. Even the slowest step, if steady, leads to victory. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like for more videos.